Hey everybody, here again with another one today. I'm here to check out the scariest movie I've ever seen. And I wonder what the movie is supposed to be, because all that I saw in the thumbnail was the guy who played Cyclops. James Marsden is his name, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he was just sleeping, so what the heck is supposed to happen here? Because I see Jim Carrey staring at me, so yeah, I wonder what, let's just get into them over
It's
here
no
mumbling.
secret that I didn't like horror movies growing up. They scared me. But what if I told you the scariest movie I ever watched wasn't a horror movie at all? It wasn't the movie that haunted me as a kid, or even the one that scarred me as an adult. Instead, it was a movie that's a little out of the ordinary.
Good morning! What is this? Oh, that was Jim Carrey. I thought it was James Marsden.
How did such an innocent looking movie scare me so much? Well, I'ma show you. Today, I'ma go over The Truman Show. My goal by the end of this video to help you truly understand why it's the scariest movie I've ever watched. I ain't gonna be alone in this. And what better place to start than at the very beginning? We open up the movie with our very ordinary main character, Truman Burbank, talking to himself in the mirror, as ordinary people do. And Truman is just your average Joe. He actually might be better than one. He wakes up in a jolly mood, greets his neighbors with a big smile on his face, holds the door for people at work. I mean, it's Jim Carrey. How can you not like him? He's just a good guy surrounded by good people in a very nice, ordinary town. At least, that's how it seemed at first. Until one day while going about his regular routine, you know, greeting his neighbors, greeting the dog, Truman hears something coming from the sky. Then, a loud crash on the road right next to him. He goes to investigate, and it's some sort of studio light. I'm sure it's nothing. After that silly little incident, we see Truman go about his day and go to work. And see, even the radio conveniently said it was nothing. It was just some plane cargo that fell out the sky. See, I told y'all it was nothing to worry about. Just plane cargo. Just plane cargo. And while Truman is on the way to work, this is when we get a really good look at the town that Truman lives in, Sea Haven. And I see why it's considered a haven, because it looks great. Freshly cut grass, no heavy traffic in sight, no dog boo-boo on the sidewalks, not even a single crackhead. Mwah, 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 it's perfect. A little too perfect. After picking up a magazine and a conversation with these kinda aggressive twins, alright bro, you don't gotta push me, we can stop and talk, just ask. We see Truman at work, and after some dude shows Truman a newspaper saying their town is the best place on earth, yeah okay buddy, I said it's perfect, but not that perfect. We see Truman on the phone with someone asking for a lady named Lauren Garland or Sylvia Garland. Wait. I don't think that's his wife's name. When Truman is interrupted by his manager who tells him he has to handle some work at the harbor, which may seem like it's, you know, whatever, but we see Truman is hesitant to do this job. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because Truman, like some of you probably watching this, is scared of the ocean. And not like, oh, I'm scared to go into deep water, or oh, I'm scared a shark gonna take a chunk off my butt. No. This is like me and dolls, woman and Axe body spray wearers, rod wave and a salad. Truman is not even comfortable.
Like, I remember Finn from Adventure Time. Bro was so scared of the ocean that even the water touching his face made it like that weird, like, animation configuration of a face. Y'all remember that?
Going near it. He won't travel on it, won't stand on structures built over it, and he's definitely not dipping his toes in. Nada. And again, you might be wondering, why? Why is he so afraid? Well, we get our answer that very same day, when later at night, after a convo with his best friend Marlon about leaving Sea Haven to go to Fiji. Really? Fiji? You don't want to weigh your options? Maybe Greece, Japan? I don't know. At least Detroit got the Pistons and Corey Kenshin. I'm going there before I get up and leave to Fiji. What's in Fiji? We see Truman sitting by the beach, reminiscing. That moon's really detailed. Reminiscing about what, you may ask? Well, his fear of the ocean. It turns out the reason Truman is terrified of it is not because the ocean almost drowned him or held his family for ransom or anything like that. It's because one day during a boating trip with his dad, Truman and him got caught in a powerful storm. So powerful that it knocked Truman's dad off the boat, and his dad didn't make it. So that's why Truman fears the ocean so much that he refuses to travel on it, even if it's for work.
Maybe just check the weather beforehand before you actually, you know what? Yeah, they still had weather reports back then. Why didn't you just check the weather report before heading out there? Like, I'd imagine you guys are not traveling across different weather time zones or whatever. You guys could have still found a better time to go out boating. Like, you couldn't even gone out in, like, the daytime or, like, check the weather beforehand. I feel like if you ever go into the ocean, knowing the weather prior to going down there is good. I mean, I don't know, because some places you can't really predict the weather, because I'm in Georgia, and Georgia is notorious for lying about weather reports. Like, it was 15% chance of rain, and next thing I know, I'm having a high because the rain's so hard I can't see. what's in front of me. That's how bad the rain was that day. So I don't know. Maybe they're just in one of those areas.
And while Truman is dramatically sitting on the beach, out of nowhere, another weird occurrence happens. When it starts raining, but only on Truman. What the? Eventually it starts raining around him, but I'm sure at this point you can see there's some weird stuff going on in this perfect town Truman lives. And it only becomes more clear as we continue. Truman comes home, clothes all soaked. And for the record, don't try this. Nothing good comes out of it. Unless good to you is an apology after a whooping.
What is about to do?
Don't try it. Truman sits down with his wife Meryl and tries to convince her to come with him. They can leave together, explore the world. But Meryl tells him, no Truman, we have bills to pay. A whole life here. We can't just leave it all behind. And I thought we were gonna try for a baby. Boring. I don't want no baby. I want to go to somewhere spontaneous like O-Block or something. After Meryl turning down Truman's idea, we cut to the next day, and this is when stuff gets really weird. We again see Truman do his normal routine, you know, say hello to the neighbor, drives to work, picks up his magazine, all that stuff. But as Truman is heading into work this time, out of nowhere in this crackhead-free town, he sees what looks like a crackhead, or at least a meth head, right in the middle of this busy street. And to those of you who don't deal with these kind of people often, don't worry, they're harmless. Most of the time. So the weird part isn't that people are ignoring him. That's normal. I do it all the time. The weird part is when Truman gets close to the crackhead and realizes it's his dad. Then out of nowhere, while Truman's trying to figure out what the heck is going on, these two people drag the man away. Truman chases after them, but after a bunch of convenient obstacles get in his way, a bus takes his potential father away. This combo with all the weird stuff happening lately, yeah. Truman had questions. So he goes to the one person we all go to when we need answers.
Wouldn't that be an hilarious turn of events? Turns out your dad was alive the whole time. This man went out to sea and it looked like he drowned, but in reality, he was trying to swim back to the boat, but the sun just left him because he was so scared. And then this man makes it back to shore just to try and find his way back. Like, that would have been hilarious. That's hilarious. It's sad,
Truman tells his mom that he saw
hilarious.
his dad dressed on the street as a homeless dude for some reason. And his mama tells him, oh, Truman, you tripping. Your daddy ain't homeless. He ain't even alive. Truman tells her it was him. I know it was. But she tells him, look, Truman, you're just feeling guilty about the boating trip. That may or may not have been your fault. But I don't blame you, Truman. I don't judge you. But it was too late. Not even the words of his mama could stop what was building in Truman at this point.
I mean, it's kind of the dad's fault. Because like I said,
once Truman gets home, we learn these events aren't the first time weird occurrences like this have happened. You see something even weirder happen to him back in his more youthful days. We get a flashback to Truman in high school when he was a part of the band. I was more of an art class kind of guy myself, but band did seem fun. Never theater.
That was not going to survive a thunderstorm.
And as you can tell, he does not look like a high schooler. Man, I thought Euphoria
and high schoolers looked old.
Look at Marlon. We see what's supposed to be a young Truman lock eyes with this girl who was staring at him.
This really is the 2000s where they kept getting freaking 30-year-olds to play teenagers.
So when I first saw this,
like in the Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie.
Oh, you think I'm lying? I am. Still love at first sight though. While Truman and this mystery girl are making out with their eyes, they're interrupted by Truman's future wife. Yay. But that was only the start of Truman's connection with this mysterious girl. We then cut to Truman's prom. Come on, bro. They're not even trying to hide it. This dude in the back is balding. When suddenly he sees a familiar bracelet.
Hey, it's just the early 2000s of making high school movies. They didn't want to get child actors that were actually teenagers back then, so they had to get full-grown adults that knew how to act to play the characters, which unfortunately meant these guys were pushing 30 all at the same time. Like, come on,
mystery girl again. But instead of this time her magically vanishing when Truman gets distracted, she gets taken away by some, I don't know, some random security from the prom? Come on, bro, that's just jealousy. But don't worry, Truman runs into this mysterious lady one more time in the library, where he finds out her name is no other than Lauren Garland. Yeah, the lady Truman was asking for earlier on the phone, this is her. But why was he asking for her? What happened to her? What was the weirder thing that happens in this flashback? Can you stop asking so many questions? I'm getting to that. Lauren tells Truman they shouldn't be speaking.
I wasn't even asking the questions.
Truman asks, why? Oh, you have a boyfriend. That's where it is. Or was it that girl you saw me at the dance with? Oh, come on. That's Meryl. Meryl. I don't even really like her like that. She's just kind of there,
That's my
you know?
wife.
And before Truman can continue questioning, Lauren tells them they should go to the beach now, which probably had Truman thinking he was about to go skinny dipping or something, so he agrees. They arrive at the beach, and after a shared kiss, geez, y'all seen each other 3 times. You don't even know her favorite color, Truman. Lauren tells Truman they'll be here soon. Wait, who will be here? And she tells Truman his whole reality is fake. They know everything he does at all times. Everyone is pretending, and her name isn't even Lauren. It's Sylvia.
It's the Matrix or something?
Like Sylvia Garland. Someone goes to get Sylvia, claiming to be her father and saying she has schizophrenia, but Sylvia persists, saying everything's fake. The sand, the sun, the moon. I knew it was too detailed. I knew it. Truman and his confusion ask her dad where they're going, and he says Fiji. This moment was mind-blowing on the first watch, because this is when we realized the crazy possibility that Truman doesn't love his wife at all. And also, the world he lives in might be fake. Either way, all these weird occurrences reminded Truman of
having an existential crisis.
More suspicious of the world around him. Suddenly, he starts noticing even more things. The radio malfunctioning and picking up what sounds like someone announcing his exact location. Newspapers conveniently talking about the homelessness issue in the city after he saw that crackhead. And craziest of all, cars stopping for him in traffic. Actually, Truman, I think that last one happens regardless. Truman's suspicion was at an all-time high. He even switches routes to see how the people in town will react, discovering what looks like to be a set. Truman was spiraling, so he decides to go to someone else he could always talk to, his best friend Marlon. They say and watch the sunset as Truman expresses all his concerns, and he asks Marlon how traveling outside of Sea Haven was. And Marlon tells him he went all over the world,
and now he's seen like all of the movie sets and all this
I haven't
stuff.
seen a single
so
Italian spot, Mediterranean spot, Mexican spot, and y'all trying to tell me you have the title for the best place in the world? Yeah, right, buddy. Burger and fries can't hold you up for that long. We then also see Truman spending time with some more people he actually trusts. His mom and his...
I don't know. You can do
They're
a lot
going through their
with
photo
burgers.
albums together, you know,
Just
baby
ask Bob
photos, childhood
just
photos,
ask Bob
wedding
Belcher. He knows how to do a little
And this
something,
scene
something.
is adorable. I used to love doing this with my mom back in the day. Tragically, though, I was a fat baby. And it looked like this worked.
Wow.
All this reminiscing on the good
Weren't we all?
times makes Truman think, you know what? Maybe he was tripping. Maybe instead of
It's
worrying
called
about
baby
trying
fat
to
for
go
a
to
reason.
Fiji, he should just appreciate what he has here in Sea Haven. Aw, that's nice. At least that is what he felt for a moment. Until Truman looked over at the wedding photo with his wife and noticed her fingers were crossed. Yeah. If I said Truman's suspicions were at an all-time high before, this brought it to a whole new level. He started questioning where his wife even goes when she goes to work. He starts noticing patterns in the neighborhood. The same man, same woman, same car, going around the block over and over and over again. This was the final straw. Truman knew he had to leave.
I can see why this movie would be scary.
When he gets to the travel agent,
what
she
the heck is
conveniently
even
tells
happening?
him everything is sold out. Then when he goes to take the bus out of town, the bus breaks down. Y'all see what it's looking like, right? After realizing he's out of option, Truman takes things into his own hands. One afternoon, while showing Meryl the patterns he's been witnessing these last few days, he decides, you know what? Let's go to Fiji right now! Locks the car and starts driving. Is this kidnapping or would it be considered romantic because they're married? Truman takes Meryl on a joyride, and I can't lie, Truman looks like he has lost his mind. Thought he was about to start tweeting, but he didn't. In fact, Truman was more sharp and perceptive than ever. He noticed all of a sudden now that he's trying to leave, there's a traffic jam. How convenient. Yes. So Truman decides, you know what? Let's just go home. Psych! Truman fooled them. Now the road was clear and there was nothing to stop him. Truman drove nearly all the way out of town until the ocean. Truman and Meryl stare at this bridge and Meryl tells Truman, let's go home. You know you can't drive over water. Meryl, yes, Truman? You got this. Truman closes his eyes and makes Meryl drive the car through the bridge by herself. And somehow, they make it. They're out of the town. Truman has finally left that weird place. But a few minutes into their drive, after we see Meryl complain about the whole idea, you know, your mother won't like this one bit, Truman.
Wait a minute.
Truman and Meryl are stopped by the authorities. Don't worry, they're not in trouble. I mean, look at them. There was apparently a leak at this power plant, and Truman asked the officer if there's any possible way for them to go around. The officer tells them, nah. Truman says, well, thanks for the help anyways. And the officer says, you're welcome, Truman. He said his name. How would he know his name? Truman starts freaking out and attempts to run away on foot. But alas, there was too many of them.
They jumped him.
Captured Truman and sent him home. Truman back at home is on the brink of collapse. He starts asking Meryl why she even wants to have a kid with him when she clearly can't stand him. And Meryl gives the response I think any loving wife would give in this situation. She starts doing an ad placement. Truman is confused, but Meryl just keeps talking about some Mococo drink made from cocoa beans all the way from Mount Nicaragua. Truman loses it. He starts pressing Meryl, asking her what's happening, and convinces himself that she's a part of this. Meryl grabs some silver and threatens to use it against Truman, but Truman turns it on her. And in her panic, Meryl screams up to the sky, "Do something!" This confuses Truman even more, making him question even more, making him press her even more. But before things can escalate even further, we hear someone at their door. Hey, it's our boy Marlon with a few cold ones. Bad time? Truman and Marlon sit at their usual spot, and Truman tells Marlon he thinks he's losing his mind.
Is he trapped in a commercial?
The world revolves around him. Oh, but when I told my therapist that, he just called me a narcissist. Marlon starts telling Truman all this sentimental stuff.
Why is it happening to him specifically, but it seems like everyone else knows what's happening to him?
And Marlon tells him if he thinks everyone is in on this big lie, wouldn't he have to be in on it too? And this right here, these words, they did something to Truman. I'll explain in a second what I mean, because Truman and Marlon's chit chat wasn't over yet. Marlon tells Truman there's a reason he stopped by his crib tonight. And then, that's when we see it. The crackhead from earlier, who was actually Truman's dad. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, Truman was sure. With what Marlon said a second ago, and now this, his father magically coming back to life, Truman was 1000% sure about what most of you guys are thinking right now. Truman is in a TV show. Yes, it's true. That's the whole thing that scares me with this movie. We learn from the creator of the show, Christoph, that Truman's life has been being broadcasted since he was a baby. Actually, even before that, because Truman was also broadcasted when he was in the womb. Meaning, he's had this man Truman doing subathons since he was a zygote. But instead of it being for 30 days, it's been happening for the last 30 years. This would be absolutely terrifying. Imagine your mom, your dad, your siblings, your friends, even your dog or cat, all of them, just actors. They don't care about you. When your dog would come to lick you or your cat would come to snuggle his head on you, he doesn't care. He's just trying to get his next check. But it doesn't end there. This whole you in the TV.
Imagine if the wife actually conceived the baby. You'd have to do that as an actress legitimately and give birth to a potential baby just to keep this charade alive. Who would no. I'm just saying, it's an odd obligation to have. Apparently everyone in this world is very committed to making him feel like this is his real life. So if he would agree to try the baby, that would have been a whole thing in of itself, which is weird, isn't it? Because it's just an actress. I don't know, bro. This whole thing is weird altogether because no one should be putting all this on one person.
Show thing for the also sake means of your whole life, the one you are living right now, has been orchestrated, planned out. All those times people roasted you, your first heartbreak, even that one job you took that summer that you absolutely hated, was really just a group of people in a writer's room like, James, wouldn't it be funny if we made it so Derek has a horrible accident when he's young and he's forced to get braces? I know. And then we can make his dad leave. That's literally how the show works. And the main man running the show is Christoph. We see him doing a Q&A, you know, them old school calling and asking questions, things like they used to do on the radio. And we learn this show is extremely popular. Forget Kai and Speed for a second. This dude Truman is the biggest streamer on earth. He even got people in Japan watching, which is another scary thing. Not the fact that they're Japanese, that's okay. Imagine 1.5 billion people. Wait, we don't gotta do that many. Imagine just 30 people, the size of a classroom, watching you day by day, week by week, year over year. All your good moments, your bad moments, and scariest of all, the moments you're doing something you wouldn't even want your mama seeing. Yeah. Truman's puberty arc must have been real awkward to film. Christoph is still answering incoming calls when we see him get a call from someone familiar. It's Sylvia, who we find out the whole time was actually an activist trying to free Truman from the show. Christoph tells her that he's actually letting Truman live a normal life and that the real world is the sick place. Well, he is right about the real world being sick. Did y'all see they said GTA 6 might be $100? What? He also tells Sylvia Truman can leave whenever he wants.
People are gonna buy it regardless. She's just mad that he prefers GTA 6, which isn't fair.
Right. Sylvia hangs up saying that Truman
people like Nintendo, I mentioned this in an earlier video I recorded today, but freaking Nintendo, it's GTA 6. Of course $100 is gonna be what is gonna be is not gonna matter for it because it's GTA 6. It doesn't mean that the next Mario Kart should cost that much because GTA 6, a game that has been anticipated on for the past over 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, is finally coming out. It's a game that everyone is going to try and get their hands on because it's so hyped up. No one was excited for the next Mario Kart game. I mean, yeah, like I feel like we are all satisfied with Mario Kart 8 as it is. And the new Mario Kart is just extra stuff on top of that. It still looks good, don't get me wrong. And I still might end up getting it regardless at some point in my life, but you get what I mean? Like, it's not GTA 6 level worth of racing prices. Like, you guys are doing good the way that you were. And you guys are still making money with the old game prices and everything and all that stuff.
Someone's gonna prove him wrong, and then we cut to the next day.
That's why so many people were buying the stuff because it was so
Truman's
affordable.
back to normal. He does his routine, goes to work. They even introduced a new love interest for him. Truman divorce arc coming soon. But when Truman gets home, he makes an interesting decision. He decides to sleep in the basement. And Kristoff notices this and tells the guy monitoring Truman to zoom in and isolate the audio. Ain't this the 90s? What kind of Spy Kids technology is this? They hear Truman snoring, but that wasn't enough for Kristoff, so he sends over Marlin. And when Marlin gets there, he discovers Truman is missing. The town immediately goes into high alert panic mode. They check every camera, pull out every main character, side character, and extra. They even brought out the sun.
How serious is this show? Like, you guys put on a manhunt after him because he wanted to leave. What is happening? This is not fair. Bruh, ain't no way a show that's been going on for 30 years still has an audience this good to where they want to hunt down the actors so they can continue to use him for profit. Not even The Simpsons is that popular. It's been around for longer than that amount of time. How long has The Simpsons been out? It's been about 30 years, hasn't it? And I still feel like no one cares enough about The Simpsons to want to try and like find what's the Matt Groener is the creator's name. Try to find him to get him to make more episodes. Like imagine this man wants to go on vacation and we send out a public manhunt for Matt Groener to make him create more Simpsons episodes or something. Like that's just weird. Like, come on.
Still, they couldn't find Truman. Side note, I told y'all about them dogs. Dude went from super sweet to looking like Sonic Unleashed. Kristoff was panicking until he realized they weren't looking everywhere. They were missing one spot. One spot they never, ever expected Truman to go. The ocean. And that's exactly where he was. On a boat sailing away to finally leave Sea Haven.
They're gonna send like an airstrike
wasn't about to let that happen. Like something straight out of Hunger Games, he calls for this dude to cast a storm over Truman's boat. But Truman is resilient, so he holds on. Kristoff though,
y'all ain't about to
even
punk
more
me.
stubborn.
I'm
he
done
strikes
with y'all.
Truman's boat with lightning and over and over again. But Truman still stands. He even
you're gonna kill him.
He tells them to up the winds and to capsize him. But the dude controlling it refuses to, knowing it could potentially kill Truman. So Kristoff does
which would ruin the entirety of your
plan.
plan.
Crashing down on Truman's boat over and over and over again. Kristoff eventually calls off the waves, but it looked like it was too late. Until he's alright. He survived somehow. Probably got some fractures though. Now with no one trying to stop him, Truman sails all the way till he runs into a wall, realizing the sky was really just a painted studio wall the whole time. See, this only proves my childhood theory that the sky is some sort of painting / hologram thing. I'm still working out the kinks. Truman walks along the water until he finds a staircase that leads to an exit sign. Truman Burbank, more like Truman Skywalker. Am I right, fellas? But before he can walk out, Kristoff starts speaking to him. He tells him the truth about how he's in a TV show and he's the star, and he also tells him that he knows him better than anybody else, and that he knows that he doesn't want to leave. He's too scared to.
Walk through that door.
Truman delivers the perfect response that nobody was expecting. In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And then he just leaves. To where? I have no clue. The movie ends with Sylvia running out to look for Truman. Does she even know where she's going? And these two dudes watching as the Truman Show cuts transmission for the first time ever. And then they're like,
Friday after next.
What else they got on? Let's check. As you guys can see, this movie is very, very scary. Or
actually,
at least the concept. And it's very worthy of the title, the scariest movie I've ever watched. Now, the creepiest movie I ever watched, that's probably a horror movie. Comment down below any more movies you guys want me to go over. Or DM me them on Instagram. Or you can put them in the Discord. Shameless I don't know. Maybe you feeling spontaneous. And moral of the story? And then we can make his dad leave.
No, I think I have heard of this movie before, because the title is very familiar to me. I never knew what the movie was about, though. But seeing this now, it's like, why? Ain't no celebrity in this world, I'm telling you now, ain't no celebrity in this world so popular that we keep them hostage in an area where we completely control just in order to keep the show running. Ain't no celebrity that popular, I'm telling you now. If y'all can name one, y'all are weird, but still, you can't convince me otherwise that there is a celebrity popular enough to keep this amount of entertainment alive for 30 long years. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, man. Hope y'all have a good one. God bless.